Good morning and a warm welcome to everyone who's here today. Thank you for coming. Before we begin today's panel, we would like to extend a special thanks to the Women's Pavilion for providing us a space to discuss the cultural dialogues and the ideas of documenting the craft of perfume, which is considered one of the main cultural crafts in the United Arab Emirates. Traditionally, the Emiratis use perfume in various contexts, and therefore, for this reason, we worked with the American University of Sharjah and the students to find innovative ways of documenting the craft of perfume. Alongside the American University of Sharjah professors, we worked with the courses that focused on design thinking and the multimedia designs, and therefore, for this reason, we resulted with more than 8 students and 8 projects who worked alongside together for us to document such ways of documenting the craft of perfume in the UAE. Irthi, Contemporary Crafts Council, supported the students to design products based on the researches that were produced and were exhibited in various local and design aspects for the international and the local markets. The collaboration has been set to preserve the combined knowledge for future projects and for future generations' use. To start with, I would like to thank our panelists for joining us today. Due to the allotted time, we won't be able to take questions. However, the panelists and our team would be very happy to speak to you after the discussion. Once again, a warm welcome to all the panelists and our respective guests. First, I will introduce the panelists. We have Dr. Anijo. He's the director of the Design Next Academy and the associate professor at the Institute of Design at Illinois Institute of Technology in Chicago, the United States. Previously, he served as the head of the Department of the Art and Design at the American University of Sharjah in the UAE. His research and work evaluates new models of innovation enabled by technology and media through the lenses of design fiction and the design-led innovation and entrepreneurship. He works with global organizations to adapt and change strategic responses to transforming technologies. We also have Professor Karan. She's a senior design strategist focused on design-led innovation for strategy, services, and experiences. She merges design methodology with business strategy to help clients explore creative challenges, build design capabilities, and reimagining user experiences. We have Mizna. She's a student from American University of Sharjah, majoring in design management. She loves to explore cultural aspects in her work and practices empathetic design because of her works and her research. She also enjoys the design thinking courses, and she's very passionate toward documenting the crafts in the UAE. She's a member of the Teeb group. The Teeb group are students who worked together and interned at Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council for the previous 6 months, where they worked on developing their research into a product that will be launched soon. Amna Suwaidi, Ali Al-Qasimi, Fatma Nasser, and Raymond Hosseini, alongside Mizna, all worked together to do their project and to work on their product that would be launched soon under the business called Teeb. To know more about it, it will be launched at Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council platforms, and we will be updating everyone soon. The perfumery of craft in the UAE is a craft that it's important for us to document, to bring forth, and to tell stories about, because the craft itself is an art. And for this reason, there are new ways that we can take this art and present it to people, maybe in various spaces. And for this reason, Hamd al-Falahi worked with her fellow colleagues to develop the idea of Thikra. Hamd al-Falahi is also a student from the design management course, and she likes to emphasize on design thinking and to empower such gaps in the craft and the cultural heritage to find ways to bring them in an innovative way and put them in a forefront. The capstone project Thikra is included in the publication, where you could refer back to in the box that's next to your seat. And you will get to know more about the perfume store that they presented as an idea for a new way for retail experiences. Perfumes are significantly important at every household. The Emirati families always explored such ingredients and put it together to create various perfumes and scents that they can use it in their household. Many Emirati families take pride and in their scents that they mix and relate it to their heritage, their memories, and their ideas, and also it's something that they feel that present an aspect of beauty and aesthetics. As Emiratis, they feel they're related to these crafts. They use various ingredients that Mizna and her team worked on researching and documenting. Which, Mizna, could you please share with us the results of your research and the work with the students that you did on the craft itself and the kind of ingredients that has been used?
Okay. Hello, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank Shahad for this wonderful introduction. I would also like to thank Farah and Shahad for being a great mentor throughout our 6-month internship in Irthi. And I would also like to thank, obviously, Irthi Council and Professor Kira and Professor Anija for this wonderful opportunity. I'm very grateful to be here. I wanted to say that with Teeb, what we wanted to do, we wanted to preserve the craft of perfume making. And we wanted to simplify it and make it as simple as anyone can do it. So I'd say it's more of a cake mix. So you have the dry ingredients, you have the wet ingredients, you just mix them together. So the dry ingredients, basically, they're consisted of oud powder, musk powder, and crushed sugar. They're put together in one container to make it as easy for the user as possible. And then what they do is that they add the scented oils, which in the kit we have 2 types of scents preferred on your own scents. So what we do is that you can get the scented oils, add them to the the dry ingredients, mix them all together, create a paste, and then just use it instantly. And the real original craft making of dukhun is a very, very long process. So it takes a lot of time. It takes a few months. But with Teeb, we made it very simple, very straight to the point. So you can do it in like a split second and it's done. And that way we preserve the craft, and a lot of people might enjoy doing it and creating their scent. And it has this type of personality that, oh, okay, I did this. And it's fun when you look at stuff that you do and you feel this feeling of empowerment, even if it's the simplest thing. And it's for people from all around the world. It's not only for Emiratis, everyone can use it. And yeah.
Mizna, this is more about the product that you worked with, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, you did compile different ingredients. And from your perspective, when you were doing the research on the scents and the ingredients you were putting in the kit, what did you find out? Like the kind of ingredients that we worked on and we researched?
Okay, so what we first did is we interviewed Irthi artisans and many artisans from all around the UAE. And what we did is that we looked up their favorite scents and their favorite things to use in perfumery or in dukhul making. A lot of people like to include, as I said, oud and musk powder. Oud is very popular. Musk as well is very popular. A lot of people like to add their own twist. They add a little bit of saffron, which is interesting. So basically, it all depends on the person. It all depends on the person's preferences, I can say, yeah.
Yeah. And how about you, Hamda? When it comes to the perfume itself, as she just answered with the various ingredients, how can you link perfume to the Emirati culture, to the Emirati identity? How do you think it's something that you might be related to, or you can signify it with?
Okay, so first of all, I'll just want to thank Irthi for this opportunity, as well as Professor Kiran and Hanijo, who helped us along the process of our research and our findings. And one of the things we found while doing our research was that Emiratis in particular don't find perfume as a luxury, but rather as a daily necessity, which is not like the same with other nationalities and other people. which technically makes sense since the craft of perfume within the UAE has been present in a majority of Emirati households growing up, each with their own story and each with their own recipes that they hold dear. And the craft hold dear is the stories and the memories of your past loved ones. And it was made with ingredients that were found locally or via trade due to the UAE's location, which creates scents that are very uniquely Emirati compared to other perfumes and other scents. And it's like a craft that only has room to grow, with bukhur being present in almost every single Emirati household. And it's one that connects us to our past, as well as moving forward and making the craft more sustainable and accessible, which is kind of where our project Thikra comes in, because Thikra was made in collaboration with my colleagues Rahaf, Roda, Daria, and Galrakh, where we created Thikra as a perfume concept store that reimagines how perfume is seen in a retail environment.
Thank you. And for based on that, when you said like this environment that the people can go through maybe in the future, they can relate it to something, some element that they can always remember or a memory. And as Mizna, you're saying that when you did and worked on Tleeb and the recipes while you were doing the research and archiving it throughout Tleeb, how can you link it to the Emirati identity?
I think anything that is part of our culture, even the tiniest aspect, create our Emirati identity. So what we in Tleeb, the ladies in Tleeb, we have Amna from Sharjah, Reem from Abu Dhabi, Alia from Ras Al Khaimah, and Fatma and I are from Dubai. Now, even though we all come from different parts of the Emirates, I think this goal brought us together, and we had this thing in common. And I'm sure in Tleeb and all over the UAE we have this. These commonalities bring us together in a way and unite us.
So when you feel like we're mixing it together and we're having the various memories and ideas from the different Emirates, we can link it to our identity in some way that this is something we can present. This is something we worked on together. We created. At the same time, it is presented in such a beautiful way, which is perfume. Mm-hmm. And I thank you and the students for all working together for only the projects. We found out new ways that we can, as Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council, present it to the future generation, as well as create various products or maybe present it in various exhibitions with new innovative ways that is all compiled and combined by the students' perspectives, ideas, and creativity. Perfume, as I said, is considered an art. The universe of perfume and artistic discipline are often combined. The olfactory dimensions are prominent in the creative sectors, as it challenges the creatives to grasp the senses toward understanding various design disciplines. Dr. Anijo, thank you for being here today. And I would like to direct this question to you, which is, how is the realm of sense a key principle in design in today's sector?
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be there. I was just telling everyone that I'm so upset I'm not there in person. I built close relationships with many of you while I was there, and now I'm back in Chicago. So it's a real honor to be here. And thanks to Irthi and Farah and Shahad for inviting me, and all the people who I worked with, all the students and faculty and so on. I think we have to step away from sense for a second to understand the realm of sense and the value of design in this. If you think about what the students have done, it's not a design story. It's a human story. And all of it is about human beings and their relationships to culture and narratives. So there's one, when you get a chance to talk to Maze now, you should talk to her about Aunt Moza, and how that person who is her aunt created such a impact on all of us, because the story of scent is a story of her life and her legacy. Her grandmother passed it on to her, she passed it on to her kids passed it on to her grandkids, and so on. And it really is so if we characterize what design can do for arts and crafts in general, but scents in particular. It is capturing that human story. And one of the most important things that design can do is bring a modern twist to that story, which is what Fikra and Teeb do. They actually take traditional ideas of perfumery and how perfumes are perceived by in the region, and then transform them into modern iterations of what it can look like in the future. And this is essentially, I believe, the value that design can bring to the heritage of scents and the heritage of culture in the UAE.
And as you said, thank you, Doctor, for your input. And when you said how we can take it further in the future, I'm sure the educational sector is one of the most important sectors where they could implement such ways and such topics in their design thinking classes or design and multimedia studios. As the industry is undergoing many changes because of the innovation and innovative technologies, the foundation of the perfume making is also shifting towards sustainability and development. For this reason, the education institutions are very aware of those changes, and it needs to be fit for the futuristic requirements. So, Professor Karan, what's your perspective on the impact of integrating the craft of perfume in such courses?
Let me begin by first saying thank you to you, to Farah and the team at the Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council for your continued support throughout the semester, to our students, and for this panel here today. It is an absolute delight to be here and to see our students talk. It's just a moment of pride and joy, so thank you for having us here. I teach in the Design Management Program at the College of Architecture, Art and Design at the American University of Sharjah. And our program looks at design from an innovation and strategic perspective. The intention is to give students a holistic understanding of the different facets of design, and then put that knowledge and skills into practice. This can occur through a variety of ways. You have case studies, you have real-world challenges, multidisciplinary projects. But I think the one that's most impactful is sponsored projects. So this is where we are again really grateful to Irthi, because we came together and explored how might we also address Irthi's objective of preserving and celebrating Emirati craft and culture, as well as give students a real-world experience of the challenges they may be able to sink their teeth into. So when we focused in on Emirati perfume craft, and I remember we announced it to the class, the entire class was buzzy with energy. It was so exciting, right? This is beyond, the craft itself is lovely. The regional contextual relevance is wonderful. And then it allowed them to go beyond design-led innovation. It allowed them to engage the multi-sensory experience. And you might wonder why multi-sensory when we are focusing on scent. Well, I have to go back to Mesna's example of baking. Now, if you take cookies, for example, right? When you start baking at the oven, you smell the cookies, which is so wonderful. And it comes in, you start salivating at the appearance of it. You bite into it, you hold it up, and there's a textural element, right? The ridges and the chips. And then you bite into it, there's a crunchy exterior, the gooey, chewy center, and then the gooey chocolate chips. So while they're cookies that may focus on taste, you engage sight, taste, touch, and sound in that. So the same way, smell and perfumes engage beyond just smell and go beyond to the other senses. So I think that was really, really helpful for them. And the bigger part of it was that it's deeply contextual and relevant to Emirati society and culture. Right? Perfumes, like my students said, it's not a luxury. It is a necessity. It is a part of life. It is a part of religious, cultural, social events and celebrations. It is a part of celebrating family legacies with handing down Aunt Mosa's story and recipe down the generations, right? Everyone shares in the experience and celebrates it. So it's deeply contextual and relevant. And this project, this experience allowed students to sink their teeth into it, get the real-world experience of a real project that the Irthi is facing, but also apply their skills and celebrate the artistic and cultural legacy of the United Arab Emirates.
Thank you, Doctor. And I remember the students, they were always excited with our meetings where they had to explore various ways to do their research. Like we had a team that focused on trade. We had a team who worked on exploring the craft of perfume with their memories and identity. And we have another one who worked with the artisans to examine and to understand how such perfume is related to the celebrations. And for this reason, this project is actually one of our favorite. It's because having this connection with the students and understanding their perspective and bringing it forth to the council always allowed us to open new ways for our projects in the future. And because of that, and how Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council and the American University of Sharjah, when they worked together on this collaboration, it's kind of the first hands-on education experience for the students working with a cultural institution toward archiving the craft heritage. And Dr. Anijo, from your perspective, how do you see this program influencing the future of education?
When I was the head of department at the American University of American University of Sharjah's Department of Art and Design, one of the things that I noticed is that most design education and most education in general in the UAE had this sort of point of view that we have to look at the West and do what the West does. And having come from Chicago, I worked in Chicago for 11 years before I came to Sharjah, I realized that there's some value in that. Yes, we should learn from the West. But I think the thing that we are missing is the emphasis on what happens in our own country. The United Arab Emirates is, you've won that battle of trying to show the world that you've achieved economic success. And I think the next frontier is to show the world what Arab culture is all about. And for me, this is very, very important. And I think this is where educational experiences, cultural experiences, the energy that should happen in the UAE should focus on that. And these students are prime examples of that. The moment we presented this idea to them, you should have seen their excitement. It was beyond exciting. I mean, this is not the design of another retail space or another product that will be used or consumed. It is the amplification of their lives. It is the amplification of their cultures, of their religion, of the things that they hold most dear to themselves. And in some sense, it is also the building of the Emirati identity, right? And for these students, it was to be part of something that amazing and something that global is phenomenal. If you think about the impact that something like Team and Fikra is going to have, is more than just a retail experience or a product experience. It's going to, and many of you in the audience, if you see the product and the retail experience that the students have come up with, you will understand what I'm saying is that it's a lot more than just a design. It actually goes in and touches your heart. And it touches your identity as an Arab person, as a Muslim, as a Emirati, as a resident of the region. It's all of that put together. And I think this is the core of what we try to do at AUS, what we have been trying to do through our programming also. And I hope that this is something that the country continues to invest in, which I believe will have major success in the next 20 years.
I agree with you, Doctor. And from some of their projects, I remember I had some students asking us if we know how to implement perfume and related to the blockchain, for example, or some new technologies that I have no idea how to code or how to do. But or even like in the council, it's like new terms for us as a team to hear about and know about. So it was something. It was us learning from them and them learning from us as well. As you said, it's something that maybe in the future, it would be something to consider while integrating with cultural institution and the educational sector. And Professor Kiran, what's your perspective on this?
Well, I think you, Professor Anijo, you hit the nail on the head. It was a deeply personal challenge. You know, we try and give students something that they can sink their teeth into and, you know, enjoy within their final semester and celebrate their transition to the real world. But this was something that was relevant to their cultural identity, their historical legacy, their family stories. And, you know, we at the College of Architecture, Art and Design at the American University of Sharjah, we're always trying to equip our students with the knowledge and skills necessary to help them out in the real world. But it's not just about solving problems with a design-driven approach. It's about trusting your own instinct and your own passions and celebrating our personal, our family, our regional legacies and stories as we move forward. There is so much richness here that we need to celebrate and move forward. This was an opportunity for the students to apply their skills to a real-world problem. And this collaboration between Irthi and AUS allowed students to stretch their skills, you know, not just come up with a design-driven approach or a strategy, but really celebrate the stories behind them, you know, and this allowed students to be better prepared for the professional space because it's, you know, not just going out with a good toolkit of design tools, but also going out with an understanding of preserving and celebrating this country's rich artistic legacy. And this challenge was really, really impressive because it was representative of many consulting engagements, right? We had teamwork with very many diverse opinions, as the teams will tell you, right? You have an abundance of opinions, you have different points of view and skill sets, and that diversity of thought is necessary for the future of design. We were encouraging teams to come up with real prototypes rather than just stories and narratives, right? They had to come up with real impact. This was a real client facing a real problem with a real project in the real world, impacting real people. Where else will students get the opportunity to try that out? And I think that collaboration between Irthi and AUS helped our students to get a sense of that and be better prepared as they go out into the world. And this has, you know, when with Professor Nijo and I see these students talking, there is a great deal of pride in the students because the depth and complexity and creativity of their work is amazing. They took a challenge, a very vague challenge, researched it intensely, came up with their point of view, reframed the problem, came up with ideas and concepts, and built something amazing. I mean, we had Tekra with a sensory interactive retail space. We had Abak who was talking about celebrating the sense and seasonal experiences. We had Alkal that was saying blockchain and perfumes, let's combine them together and move forward. And we had Theeb who was saying, let's preserve the craft of Emirati perfumes and take it forward. So to see them come out with this amazing work and be here today, it's a moment of pride and joy for all of us. And I am so happy to see them here, and I'm so excited to see the magic they will create. And again, to you, to Farah, and to everyone at Irthi Contemporary Crafts Council, thank you for being a part of that journey and helping inspire them and us along the way.
This is going to be the end of our panel, and I just want to say, if you wish to speak to our team and to learn more about the publication or the collaboration, you could do so after the panel. And I wish you all a nice day ahead. Thank you.